Welcome to the Raging Takes podcast with your hosts, Brian Dixon, Kai Zabo, and Dylan Peters.
What's up, you turkeys? Welcome back to Raging Takes. It's episode 135. It is a New Year's Eve edition of the pod. It's December 31st, 2024. It's been quite a year. As you'll see, we're missing out on one of our hosts, Brian. He's off doing big brain things. I think, educating himself. Like, who does that anymore? Anyways, so as you all know, last week was basically the end of fantasy in general. It was the fantasy championship round. Some people are extremely happy. I mean, some people right here are extremely happy, but you know, that's beyond the point. Tale of two paths between me and Kai here. How does it feel to be a champion?
In two leagues, actually. Yes. Two. I know, to win two championships within our same friend group, it's a pretty good feeling because we've always said that our group of friends, you know, very competitive bunch, very skilled players. So it feels great to win against you guys for sure. Yeah.
Now to segue away from that, and by the way, I've had that same feeling before. I'm very jealous. I'm very jealous of you. So coming off your championship season, who do you think was the MVP for you in fantasy this year?
Oh, man. When I'm looking at my roster right here, I mean, obviously taking the shot on Derrick Henry, I would say he's probably like my early season MVP. That was like when I was like, okay, this is for real. Derrick Henry looks great. It's looking like better than Derrick Henry of years past too. So I would say Derrick Henry was like a early season one. And then mid to late season, I'd say Jonnu Smith.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah, just picked him up off the waiver and just ended up being my tight end one the rest of the way.
Hey, you got to love when that happens. Is you put in very little capital, get them, and they just pay off for you. And those are league winning players right there. That's what we mean when we say league winning. Yeah. So who would you not draft again this year based on what you had?
Honestly, I don't know if it's even his fault either, but I would say Jordan Love, just because of the way that the offense developed this year. You know, we thought it was going to be like, oh, he's got all these weapons to throw to. He should be a top 10 quarterback easily. But no, it was like, you know, Josh Jacobs just kind of took over that offense. And Jordan Love didn't look as sharp as he did last season. I know he was dealing with some injuries too.
That's just, wow. It's crazy that a Matt LaFleur-led offense is unpredictable. Anyways, see, for me, I missed the playoffs. And I had the fantasy MVPs. I had Lamar Jackson and Saquon Barkley on my team. I had Breece Hall as well. So I would go ahead and say Lamar Jackson and Saquon Barkley for me, because although I missed the playoffs, and I know that sounds terrible, but it happens. They provided a lot of happiness for me this year when it comes to fantasy. And you know what? Both of those guys, they're welcome in my house, eat my food, shit in my toilet anytime they want. No questions asked. Now, who would I never draft again? Someone I should have never drafted in the first place was Evan Engram. He will never sniff a piece of he won't even sniff the bench, even the part that I farted on, ever again. Ever again, dude. Evan Engram, you're dead to me. I'm just not doing it. I'm never drafting a tight end in the top 8 rounds ever again. I had some success in the past with that. Not doing it again. I'm a huge proponent of doing it the way Kai did it. Just hold out and make your opportunities, get your players in the waivers. Do it like that. Don't burn a draft pick on a guy that's not named. Like, let's just say Brock Bowers or Mark Andrews, Trey McBride, those guys. Don't burn your early picks. I'm talking the first half of your draft on a tight end, unless you're getting a guy that can finish in the top 25 of all players, or, you know, somewhere in that fringe. So congratulations, Kai. I'm really happy for you coming out with 2 victories this year. That's awesome.
You. Yeah.
Yeah, and you get Ashton Jonty in the Dynasty League, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I did tank. I did tank, so yeah.
Hey, you tanked, but you tanked better than the other tanks. And that's what matters. All right, so we're going to move on from that. Like I said, whoever won your fantasy championships, congratulations. Whoever lost them, I know it's painful, but you'll be back. You'll be back. All right, so we're going to move on here to the Week 17 review. Right?
Whoops.
The review. Okay, my bad. I read whatever's on the prompter. Ron Burgundy style. It's hard. All right, so the quick Saturday recap. Okay. Now, what do we mean by that?
Well, I mean, let's just quickly go over the stats of these games that we were in the podcast last week doing. Just like quick recap. I know it's been a long time since then.
All right, so we had a stinker of a game to start out. We had Chargers Patriots. Chargers 40, Patriots 7. The Chargers clinched the playoff spot. Justin Herbert played good. The Chargers played good, but they also faced an inferior opponent. Justin Herbert, 26-38, 281, 3 touchdowns. That's pretty much like a typical game, like high-end game from Justin Herbert that we got. J.K. Dobbins came back. That's huge for the Chargers. I mean, monumental for the Chargers to get their running game back in, even though Gus Edwards was out. J.K. Dobbins in. I mean,
yeah, especially right before the playoffs, too, because, we saw the Chargers the past few weeks without J.K. Dobbins, and, they're pretty one-dimensional without him.
Yeah. Yeah, and getting Ladd McConkey back, and he's proven to be a top 10 receiver in the league, dude.
Quietly having a great rookie season.
Quietly having a great rookie season.
I feel like he's been overshadowed by like Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors, to be fair, but Yeah,
he's been overshadowed by a couple of the young first or second year wide receivers coming out, but you know what? You know who's not overshadowing him? Anybody on the Chargers roster that's a wide receiver. So that's good. He has his number one target going to the playoffs. Darius Davis, 2 for 29 and a touchdown. Chargers look like a well-oiled machine, and their defense looks good. Drake May, 12 for 22, 117 yards, touchdowns. Kind of looks like a quarterback on a team that's maybe trying to protect him as the season closes out, and that's fair. That's fair. The Patriots just kind of turned tail and ran away in this one, and you can't really.
They have the number one overall pick right now, too.
That's nuts, because that means that Drake May's probably going to get Travis Hunter or like 3 or 4 pieces if they trade back. So that's crazy.
Yeah, they're in a good position for the future.
Yeah. Hey, good thing that Bill Belichick's gone, or else they would not choose a really good receiver in the first round. To round that out, Antonio Gibson, 12 for 63. Demario Douglas caught the lone touchdown from Drake May for 4 for 46. Not a lot to say when it comes to the Patriots, but it's good to see the Chargers oiled up like that going into the playoffs. It'll be nice to watch them blow like a 20-point lead in the wild card weekend.
I don't know if that's going to happen with Jim Harbaugh, honestly.
Hey, we never know. We never know. It's Chargers magic, baby.
That's true.
All right, next game coming up is and also very good game.
Very good game.
Broncos, Bengals. Bengals won 30-24. Joe Burrow, he just continues to put up these MVP numbers, 39 of 49, 412, 3 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. Look, fantasy-wise, if he was on your lineup for this game, that's like another 30-plus point game that he put up, dude. Crazy numbers for you for a quarterback that's not extremely mobile. So when it comes to like MVP in the NFL and MVP in fantasy, like he could be considered a fantasy MVP this year just because like his stack with Jamar Chase was so sick if you're able to put that together. So Chase Brown went out with injury before that, 20 of 67, 4 catches, 24 yards. Looked pretty good. You kind of hope for his health going into what looks like a playoff push to get in for the Bengals. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of hoping that the Bengals are the team that squeezes it out.
Yeah, I mean, they would easily be probably the most fun team, probably the most deserving team, just because we know that as soon as they're in the playoffs, they're a danger to anyone in that playoff field.
Because they can score. They can score with any team in the league. They can outscore any team in the league, except maybe the Lions. But they would meet them in the Super Bowl, so that doesn't really matter. But T. Higgins went off 11 for 131 and 3 touchdowns in the fantasy championship week, dude. Talk about a legacy game for T. Higgins. He's going to get paid. What do you think, Kai?
I sure hope he gets paid, whether he stays on the Bengals or he goes to another team. But this man plays like a wide receiver one, even with Jamar Chase in the lineup. Yeah, I mean, this guy was one of the reasons I won the championship in our home league. So, yeah, absolutely love T. Higgins. Also, this was one of the fan interactions that we had over the weekend, though, too. They asked us T. Higgins or Jalen McMillan. Granted, Jalen McMillan had a fantastic game, too, this weekend. But I told him, I was like, the matchup is tough. but you cannot bench T. Higgins because of these kind of games. And sure enough, that guy messaged us back and he said he won his championship. So
yeah, it would have probably been safe for him to play both, depending on it's just depending on your roster and where you're trying to figure it out. Like McMillan is a huge piece for the Buccaneers going into next season as well, considering the Chris Godwin injury status. Like that's probably their wide receiver 2 going into next year. Mm-hmm. So just kind of keep that in mind. Jalen McMillan, baby. He's already on my dynasty squad, by the way. I picked him up early. I believe in guys named Jalen. I really do. Mike Gesicki. Oh, no. Jamar Chase, 9 for 102. Still it's not lackluster by any means, but he did get vultured by T. Higgins pretty good right there.
Oh, yeah.
Mike Gesicki, 10 catches, 86 yards, was there when Joe Burrow needed him. It seemed like he was like the go-to sticks guy, third downs, tough catches over the middle, stuff like that. Like, it's good to see Gesicki find his place.
Yeah, he's kind of like, I was going to say he's like the best tight end that they've had since I feel like Burrow's been there, honestly.
Yeah. And he's a big, tall, athletic guy, like not a lot. And they don't ask him to do too much, but when they do ask him, he produces. Yeah. So Yoshivas. Like him. 3 for 59. Good. Keep an eye on him to step up for next season. And this is all foreshadowing for next year. T. Higgins probably is going to leave because the Bengals are not going to offer him the bag that he wants, and some other team will. Now, Yoshivas has the perfect opportunity to step into a much bigger role next year, especially with a rapport with Joe Burrow. So that's good to see.
Yeah.
Now, Bo Nix, just quite the anomaly, in my opinion, because he could play like shit for half the game and then have some of the throws he had at the end of that game that makes you go like, oh, so he has like these in his bags of tricks. Why don't you pull those out more often, 24 of 31, 219, 3 touchdowns and a pick. I mean, played well enough to lead his team to victory, in my opinion, especially in the fourth quarter, especially when it came down to it. I love me some Bo Nix.
Oh, dude. I mean, me and you were the biggest bangers of the drum for him in the offseason. I mean, yeah, just insane, dude. I mean, like, it's funny that you say he kind of plays like an anomaly, but it's like we also forget at the end of the day, he's still a rookie.
Yeah.
This is still his first year in the league. It's just the things he's doing. Like, I cannot wait for the future with this guy.
Yeah, and he shows like that confidence to take control of the game. He wanted to go for 2 at the end. He was trying to go for 2 whenever they scored to tie it up, to go up by 1, etc. I think they probably should have because they're win and end next week anyways. So you kind of want to take that into your own control. But I'm also a freak that loves to go for 2 and miss all the time. So Jaleel McLaughlin led the Broncos running back room, 10 for 69. Also anomalous is that running back room. Oh, yeah. There's nobody really taking control of it. The guys with the most talent aren't really doing anything, and McLaughlin has shown some flashes this year. So, but not enough to really garner himself any fantasy superstar. Not enough to garner a start in fantasy, unless it's a deep league. My bad.
I mean, you're right about that because I feel like it's a different guy leading it every week. Mm-hmm. Like it's just never consistent. So
yeah. And then Marvin Mims, 8 for 103 and 2 touchdowns, had an incredible catch in the end zone in between 2 guys.
Yeah.
It makes me keep on thinking like they keep going back and forth with what's a catch here in the NFL. So hopefully they keep it because I was a fan of that call. And it was a bobbling catch, etc. Cortland Sutton, another touchdown, just an absolute touchdown machine. I love Cortland Sutton. Zach Allen, 3.5 sacks this year.
He's a D tackle too.
Yeah, dude, a big corn-fed white boy in the middle, just sacking quarterbacks with no remorse, dude. You gotta love it. You gotta love seeing a big boy get his numbers up.
Yeah. This was a fantastic game.
Yeah, dude, had huge playoff implications, kept a lot of teams alive from the Bengals winning. So good on the Bengals for keeping themselves up. What we're going to do is keep an eye on that going into next week. Exciting week of football next week, so tune in. What we got here is next is Rams, Cardinals. Rams 13, Cardinals 9.
It was
what can you say?
It was stinky game for the most part, but Rams did enough to win. I mean, Rams should have won this game. I don't know what it is though. It's like I feel like all of these NFC West teams, man, they play like dog shit against each other, and it's like we can't really tell how good you guys are. But I do know for sure that the Rams have to be the best team in this division.
Well, they've won their division. So everyone now they are the sole winners. They're going to the playoffs. Everyone else is eliminated. That question is gone. So now it's how do the Rams play in the playoffs? And to me, they're one of the more dangerous teams in the playoffs because everyone on that team pretty much that means anything has Super Bowl and playoff experience. And they have the Puka Nacua, who's possibly the best receiver in the NFL, maybe tied for a couple, but I wouldn't even sneeze at having Puka as my wide receiver one. So Matthew Stafford, 17 of 32, 189 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, completely pedestrian game manager game. You have to wonder if that's just by design, if they're just playing, to seal up their division title and take some rest, or if the Cardinals really got to them. Kind of the first one.
I kind of think the Cardinals got to them a little bit. I mean, they're not an impressive team. I'm not saying that at all, but something about their defense, though, they can be feisty against their in-division rivals. So,
Kyron Williams, 13 for 56 and a touchdown, probably salvaging a lot of people's feelings in the championship rounds. It's good he didn't finish the day with like 5.6 points, Puka had the most receiving yardage for the Rams, 10 for 129. Great game for Puka still.
God, he's such a dog.
Such a dog, dude. He's open on the field no matter where he is, deep, short, swing routes, screens, in the end zone, wherever you need him at, he's going to be. Puka! Kyler Murray, 33 of 48, 321, one touchdown, two interceptions. Little bit, he mishandled the ball a little bit. He was probably thinking about Warzone or something.
I hate to bring that up even, but I mean, every year there's a meme. It's like, whenever the Call of Duty came out, look at Kyler's stats since then. So I don't know.
Yeah, and it's the Cardinals in general just seem kind of lackluster. I mean, 9 points is not good. They did score a touchdown, which was Trey McBride's first. 12 catches, 123 yards. And a touchdown. I guess it's the perfect time for him to come up with one during the championship round here. Yeah, it's just really nice. James Conner got hurt. Michael Carter stepped in, went 13 for 70. James Conner getting hurt is, not that great.
Especially for fantasy if you had him.
Yeah. This is all about fantasy football today. Dude, having a player get hurt in the middle of a game, especially seems like in the first half of the game, kind of sucks. It hurts a lot and it pisses you off. You hope it never happens to anybody, but it does. MHJ 6 for 96 just to round off his up
and down season. Yeah,
I would call it disappointing. He was overshadowed by guys that he shouldn't have been overshadowed by. But then again, it takes a while to.
I just think the hype was too high for him, honestly.
It was, dude. It was because he's physically not the best receiver to come out of the draft. That was Malik Neighbors. And he's not even the best playmaker come out of the draft. That's Brian Thomas Jr. So what does that make Marvin Harrison Jr.? That makes him a project.
Yeah, I was going to call him a bust, because we have seen it. We've seen the flashes this season. So
you wouldn't expect him to be the project receiver coming out of the first round, but he has a little bit of work to do. Him and Kyler need to throw a lot of balls this year.
Yeah.
So now we're moving on to a game that honestly surprised me a lot.
It did, yeah.
Monday Night Football, Lions 40, 49ers 34. Man, the Niners were a little bit more competitive and honestly controlled this game for a good portion of the game to where they looked like the better team on the field until the fourth quarter when the Lions obviously just, bit their kneecaps directly off and said, we can't lose the 1 seed. These are the Niners. This is the ghost of the Niners, like you said. We can't lose to this team. Jared Goff, spectacular. 26 of 34, 303 yards, 3 touchdowns, 8 incompletions the entire game against that defense, that vaunted Niners defense that is a shell of itself.
What is his completion rating right now still?
Dude, it's in the 70s for sure, right?
That's insane for an NFL quarterback. Yeah, 71.7.
71.7. That is video
Incredible.
game numbers. That's in video game numbers. That is Drew Brees numbers. So he is treading into the Drew Brees territory of quarterback play. So we might have Drew Brees right now. We might have Jared Goff might be the new Brees. And you heard it here first. He's not a bad quarterback. He's a good one. It's real to me, damn it. Jahmyr Gibbs, 18 for 117 and a touchdown, 4 catches for 46 yards. Just proving that overall he could probably be the most valuable fantasy asset and maybe one of the best running backs in the league. Even with Saquon, even with Derrick Henry, even with all these other guys, like Jahmyr Gibbs is definitely up there talent-wise. Jameson Williams, 5 for 77 and a touchdown, plus a rushing touchdown.
Big Sam year for him.
Oh, was it?
I would say so for Jameson Williams.
I wish he could have put a whole season together.
Yeah, I mean, but when he's there, he's good.
Oh, he's extremely good. That hook and ladder play?
That was cool.
That was incredible, dude. That was absolutely incredible. You don't see that kind of stuff happen every day in the NFL. And it just proves, dude, the Lions are, no matter how high the stakes in the game are, they are going to run the plays that they want and with confidence. And that was on like a third down or something like that. So, yeah, good on Jameson Williams turning on the burners around the corner like that. Sam Laporta, 6 for 64 and a touchdown. Amon-Ra, 8 for 60 and a touchdown. Amon-Ra quietly had an up and down year as well.
I think he still finished as. Yeah, it was like fun. I was thinking about that myself. I was like, he really didn't have like that great. I mean, he was still number 3 wide receiver in fantasy, but I know what you mean about the up and down. Like, it wasn't always a good product.
Yeah, it was. He went a long stretch without a touchdown. He went a long stretch without, scoring a lot of points, but he's definitely a booming wide receiver. And 8 for 60 and a touchdown is pretty good production, considering he also was a part of that hook and ladder play. So they're getting him involved in every single aspect of the passing game, which is good.
Yeah, so like the way I'm looking at it, so obviously he had 2 games where it was like single digits, and then he had like 7 games that were above 20 points. So it's just like a lot of boom games for sure.
And we love him, dude. We love Amon-Ra, and I will draft him again. I will draft him everywhere next year. I love his name. I love the way he plays. Kirby Joseph had 2 interceptions for the Lions there. Not named Brian Branch, but Kirby Joseph.
Yeah.
Because usually Brian Branch is getting multiple picks. Brock Purdy and the Niners in whole played much better than we thought they would. Purdy, 27 to 35, 377. 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, add on a rushing touchdown for Purdy. Pretty good game. Pretty good game for Purdy. Turns out he had like an injury he's been playing through, and he's probably not going to play next week. So this was like the one last hurrah for the Niners, and they put up a really good fight against NFL's best team. Josh Dobbs came in relief, 3 of 4, 35 yards and a rushing touchdown. So do what you will with that.
Yeah.
Isaac Garindo, 9 for 34, 4 catches, 65 yards. Pedestrian game. It looks like the Niners were just passing it the whole game. They did not want to run the ball.
Hey, Ricky Pearsall, though.
Yeah, dude, Ricky Pearsall, 8 for 141 and a touchdown. Had a nice little touchdown on what looked like a broken play over there on the deep pass. Gotta love it. I think Ricky Pearsall's emergence and his playmaking ability just seals the deal for Debo probably being on his way out of the Niners this year. Hopefully Brandon Ayuk can recover, because Ayuk, Jennings, and Ricky Pearsall could be super nasty for Purdy going forward. And Debo just didn't look good this year at all. As a matter of fact, is he even active? I don't think Debo's even active.
He caught one of the touchdowns.
Oh, he did. Okay. Yeah. See, he's just not on the.
It was just one catch, though. Literally one catch.
1 for 5. Yeah. See, he's not even really in the offense, and that's bad. He was also, for me, a draft pick this year. He was my 3rd round draft pick in fantasy, and to just completely shit the bed's one of the reasons why. Hey, look, I missed out on supreme talent in that spot, and Debo probably never draft you again.
I was gonna say another guy like Debo. I'll put in that same vein. Jaden Reed and Debo both had very, very bad years. Just were not being used in their offense. No plays designed for them whatsoever.
Yeah, and it looks like they just got phased out by some other players that maybe just fit the scheme more, or I don't know. But Jawan Jennings just completely outscoring Debo this year has been a nightmare for a lot of things involved. Who was not a bust this year was George Kittle, 8 for 112. George Kittle's been a beast and baller all year. And we always forget about George Kittle being one of the best tight ends in the league. This guy won't forget. I love George Kittle. He's probably one of my favorite guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, normally with George Kittle, you kind of associate a lot of like peak and valley seasons with him, but I would say he had probably a very solid year all throughout.
Yeah, it was a very solid year. He was go-to guy for Brock Purdy all year, whoever was playing quarterback for the Niners.
So actually, this was his this ties his highest fantasy finish. He was the number 2 tight end this season. The last time he did that was in 2019. So it wasn't his best year compared to 2019, but it was his most consistent year.
And if you remember, we had a tight end lull at the beginning of the year. Tight ends, it was bad. It was bad. And George Kittle was not bad. George Kittle was good all year. So you have to remember that going into next year. Who was consistent? Who's been consistent? George Kittle. You have to put him up there in the top 5 tight ends. I don't care who you want to put above him. Don't. Unless it's Brock Bowers. Jawan Jennings, 7 for 67. Another good game. Another guy I'm looking forward to seeing next year. I think his value in fantasy is going to skyrocket going into next year just from the plays he's made this year. So that Kyle Juszczyk, 1 catch for 9 yards. Deebo Samuel, 1 catch for 5 yards. They both caught touchdowns. So that being said, kind of lackluster for both of them. Kyle Juszczyk, that's kind of like a cherry on top of the sundae there.
Yeah, he's a fullback though. I mean, he doesn't really go out there that often, anyways.
Hey, in deeper leagues, he got somebody some points.
That's true.
Yeah. All in all, just a great game, and also looking forward to next week's games as well. I'm going to foreshadow this. We have Lions Vikings next week, and I cannot wait to pick that game and talk about it. But man, anything that has to do with the Lions, I want to watch this year. This was a great comeback win for them and everything. Like, I still believe in the Lions offense 100%. It's just the defense that worries me still.
Like, they still gave up 34 points to, like we said, the ghost of San Francisco. So how's that going to look in the playoffs? That remains to be seen.
That absolutely remains to be seen. And we get our first, like, next week is truly our first round of playoffs. We get a bunch of games that are playoff worthy games, and I look very much forward to seeing those, man. From all the shitty football we got this week, we get equally amounts of good football next week. So that being said, let's move on. Sunday night football.
Good game.
We had Commanders 30, Falcons 24. Talk about a game. Talking about just another team, the Commanders, that just produce good football. No matter what they're doing, who they're playing, what the circumstances are, what the score is, what quarter it is, they're playing good football. And that comes from Jaden Daniels. 26 of 34, 227, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, and 127 rushing yards.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm talking about this guy had an RB1 rushing performance and a QB1 passing performance. This guy is in the vein of a Lamar Jackson. This guy's in the vein of a Josh Allen. This guy's in the vein of a Jalen Hurts. These kinds of guys that could put up these rushing numbers and still throw multiple touchdowns with a bunch of yards. So Jaden Daniels, dude,
for real.
In my heart, you've won Rookie of the Year. And honestly, there is definitely an avenue to not give you the MVP, but put you in the conversation of NFL MVP. Because if we're going by the metrics of what a player means to a team, Jaden Daniels probably means just as much to his team as Lamar Jackson means to the Ravens, as Josh Allen means to the Bills.
Yeah.
I mean, 10 wins for the Commanders. I don't think they have half that if they have a different quarterback in there or if their backup played the whole year. So that being said, I love Jaden Daniels. Jaden Diamonds all day.
All day.
All day. Brian Robinson Jr., 13 for 60. No touchdowns. Chris Rodriguez, he did score on the ground, 5 carries, 16 yards and a touchdown. Olamide Zaccheaus, 8 for 85 and a touchdown. Showed that he is a playmaker, and that's what's dangerous about these Commanders. It's like the Packers. You don't know who to cover on that offense. You don't know if you got to cover Ertz because you don't really want to cover Ertz, right? When Noah Brown was in, you don't want to cover Noah Brown. You want to cover Terry McLaurin. You want to cover these good receivers.
He did get shut down this game, so that opened up the door for Zacchaeus for sure.
Exactly. So it's just like another one of those little wrinkles in that offense. Jane Daniels proves that he could read the offense. He's not just a one. He's not just a one-read merchant and take off. He's reading the whole field here. Zach Ertz, 7 for 72 and 2 touchdowns. And that game-sealing touchdown at the end of the game, which was a great catch.
Yeah, it was, dude. He still looks all right. I'm like, it's crazy.
Yeah, and he had like a 42-yard scamper or something like that. He had like a long catch. So not something you want or not something you see from an old tight end, but we're getting it. Yeah. He's giving a lot of Jason Witten here.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Although I do want to say something though real quick. So yeah, Michael Penix, since we're going to segue into that, thought he started out pretty slow, but then he started really turning it on towards the end of the game. And you cannot convince me right now. If the Falcons got the ball first, I guarantee you they score a touchdown in the overtime.
Hey, you can't argue against that because Michael Penix does have a little bit of magic. He was throwing lasers. You can tell he's still developing as a quarterback. He's trying to get his legs. He's trying to learn that offense. And the Falcons, they still have that way into the playoffs. But in my opinion, they still waited too long.
Yeah,
they waited too long to give him any starts. They should have probably pulled Kirk Cousins after that second bad game he had and put in Penix. Why even draft him? But I got to give it to him. He's playing well. And if they make it into the playoffs, this will be valuable reps for him in his first year. 19 of 35, 223, touchdown and a pick. Not bad, not great, but not bad. Bijan Robinson, 17 for 90 and 2 touchdowns. I know everybody likes to call Bijan Robinson like athletic. He's one of the best. He's not one of the best running backs in the league. He's not. He's too shifty. He doesn't make decisions well. His ball carrier vision is hampered by his head, by his ability, by his thoughts that he can make big plays all at once. He leaves a lot of yards on the field. He skips around. He goes east and west a lot. Don't necessarily like it as much. Hopefully he can.
No, I like that right. I like that you bring that up because it does kind of remind me of LaShawn McCoy back in the day for the Eagles. Like there were just sometimes on plays where it was like, just go forward, get the extra 6 yards, but it's like, no, instead you're trying to like fucking bust out another extra 20 yards and you end up losing out on a bunch of yards. Yeah, I'm actually right there with you. I'm more of a north-south lover myself. Just like go and get the fucking yards. Like I understand the cute shit works out sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, dude, even if you got to just sprint out to the edge and beat someone 12 yards up the field to the sideline to get a first down, do that. Just do that. Don't try to hop, skip, and jump and make it all cute and end up on ESPN because I'm sure that he realizes as well. Like I watched this game, he realizes that he left yards on the field. I know he does. So, like the guy's a supreme athlete. He'll iron that out eventually. Yeah. Just let his NFL mind catch up to that athleticism he's got there. Drake London, 7 for 106. Gonna be a huge target. Like I like what I see from Drake London in this game, and with Michael Penix, he seems like he's looking for him a lot, so that's good. Kyle Pitts for 4 for 44 and a touchdown. Hey, what can you say? I don't know if we'll ever see the true, potential of Kyle Pitts in the NFL.
Yeah. What year of experience is he at again? Because I was just saying, like, I remember hearing something.
This is his 4th year, dude.
Okay, well, there was actually like a funny joke though. So like last season, like how Njoku and Ingram blew up.
Yeah,
they were in year 7. So the guys on the radio that I heard make this little thing one time, they were like, year 7 might be like the year where you actually find out if they're really good or not.
It used to be year 3. Now it's either you come out extremely good or you have to wait 7 years for this guy to be good.
Yeah.
When you look at Kyle Pitts' stat line and 4 for 44 and a touchdown is like a huge time in his season, it's time to move on. I think I'm fading Kyle Pitts for all of eternity until he has a David Njoku style season. That being said, I like the Commanders going into the playoffs. this gives a lot of Texans from last year vibes. Like they're there, but they're not quite there. I do believe they'll probably just get smothered in the first round of the playoffs. But that being said, crazier things have happened.
Mm-hmm.
I felt good about the game. 2 playoff teams. This is like another playoff game we got to see. So excited to see what they got next week as well. Then coming on to our next game, one of the more snoozy games until the Packers tried to wake up. It's Vikings 27, Packers 25. The Vikings had a 20-3 lead at one point in this game and kind of squandered it all. I mean, not all, because they still won, but they squandered a huge lead. Not something you want to see from a playoff team going into a game against the Lions. But Sam Darnold did remain relatively sharp, 33-43 for 377, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Didn't make any back-breaking interceptions. Didn't lose the game for his team. Still playing with, Donald should be in talks for the MVP. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know if I'd say that, but
I don't know what's going on, dude. Sam Darnold has thrown 35 touchdowns and like 12 picks and like 4,000 yards. He has good numbers. And his team is
fighting for the number 1 seed. Yeah.
Yeah, his team could or could not have the best record in the league when it's all said and done, depending on what the Chiefs and the Lions do, etc. But 14 wins through 16 games for the Vikings this year is about 4 more than anybody really thought they would have, even on like even being like generous. Okay, 14 wins is a lot for the Vikings right now. We can all agree with that from preseason. So Aaron Jones, 12 for 47, 4 catches, 30 yards, sort of underwhelming. He was not a pop-off. He was not a savior, but he still did his job.
He had the one big play at the end, I remember, that basically like won the game for the Vikings.
Yeah. Justin Jefferson, 8 for 92, held relatively in check when it comes to Justin Jefferson standards. Jalen Naylor, 5 for 81 and a touchdown, just completely wide open in the back of the end zone for that touchdown.
I like him. He's had some good games this year.
I do too, dude. And I like guys named Jalen, and it's a real thing. Guys named Jalen do the business.
Well, except for Jalen Reagor.
Oh, see, they tried that. It didn't work out. They tried that. It didn't work out.
Yeah.
Jalen Reagor, and then there's another Jalen that kind of didn't work out, but I can't remember his name. Jordan Addison, 6 for 69 and a touchdown. Still doing Jordan Addison things. It seems like you can't defend that Vikings pass game, those receivers, to save your life. They have guys coming at you from all directions. It seems like a big trend in the NFL is just to have as many pass catchers on your team as you can and make the defense protect the whole field, and it's just impossible. TJ Hawkinson, 5 for 68. Cam Akers, 2 catches for 15 yards and a touchdown. Wow. Cam Akers with a receiving touchdown. I must have missed that one. All being said, the Vikings played good enough to win, but I still do not like the fact that they had to basically weather the storm to win this game. They should have been able to close it out. That's a little bit worrying for me if I'm a Vikings fan.
I mean, yeah, true enough. What you're saying is true, but I mean, it's still also the Packers, another complete team. Yeah. It's not like they let this up against a bad team.
Almost all the teams in the playoffs are complete, I think. Except if they ever let the Bears in as a 7 seed again. Jordan Love, 19 for 30, 185 and a touchdown. Super underwhelming. You don't like to see the Packers have this low efficiency pass game. Josh Jacobs, 17 for 69 and a touchdown. Emmanuel Wilson, 6 for 29 and a touchdown. Try to get it down on the ground. They kind of did, but the inefficiency of Jordan Love through the air it's never good when you have 19 completions for 185 yards. That means he has less than 10 yards per completion. That's never good.
Yeah,
that's never good. There was no downfield passing for the Packers there, and that just limits your offense. Let me see. Romeo Doubs, 7 for 58, led the Packers receiving core. And then Malik Heath, Scored the lone receiving touchdown, 1 catch, 3 yards in the touchdown. That's not good. Jordan Love not getting any passing touchdowns to his receivers at all in this kind of important game makes you worry. Makes you worry about that passing game, makes you worry about the functionality of it. I know the Vikings defense is really good, but man.
Yeah, I mean, the Packers could be very one-dimensional heading into this playoff field because, I mean, I really haven't seen the downfield passing attack that I was promised this year at all.
Mm-mm. And, you know, that was like earlier in the season, and I think it was like that Jordan Love injury, dude. I think it's just lingered all year. I think he's lingered by those injuries earlier in the year, and you hate to see it, but hey, they are a playoff team. They're in. They have no risk of losing their spot. That being said, still not good to see it from. Really, you saw a lot of things you liked from both of these teams and a lot of things you didn't like from both of these teams in this game. But they're both still way better than my team. So I'm just being a hater. Dolphins, Browns. Dolphins won this game 20-3. Not necessarily a game that anybody watched unless you're a Dolphins or Browns fan. And I think Browns fans probably turned this one off too.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, Tyler Huntley did good though. 22 of 26 for 225, a touchdown, 52 rushing yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. So honestly,
he won them the game. Yeah,
did good enough to win them the game, considering the run game was meek to say the least. 10 carries for 25 yards against Devon Chan. 2 catches for 13 yards. Just a stinker.
I mean, dude,
stinker.
I had Achan all season this year. Hasn't been a great running back. Like, the only reason why he's been so relevant is because he's getting like 7-8 catches a game. Other than that, I think he's only broken like 100 yards like twice this year at rushing.
Yeah, I think we might have to realize that he is not your between the tackles going to be able to sustain 17 to 20 carries a game type of running back. He's a complimentary back, a receiving back. But there needs to be someone in Miami to pound the rock. I think he had a lot of success last season with Raheem Mostert being able to stay healthy and pound the rock and control the ground game. And I think that'll be the recipe for the Dolphins moving forward with him. Is he is definitely cemented himself into the role of the guy that needs the thumper or the thunder to his lightning.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not working out for him. He's going to get hurt. He's going to have low efficiency stuff. You got to get him some help in the backfield. Tyreek, 9 for 105. And Jonnu Smith scored the lone receiving touchdown. He had 3 for 26 and a receiving touchdown. Jonnu Smith continues to be very surprising, very nice, very good as a tight end, a very cheap option, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep your mind open. Tight ends aren't always born in the draft. Remember that. I am remembering that. DTR, and I'll go ahead and I'll say this just as an ode to Brian. He's not here today. One of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen in my life. 24-47 for 170 and an interception. That is like Anthony Richardson numbers. Why is DTR throwing it 50 times? We don't know. Jerome Ford got injured in this game. Deontay Foreman had to come in. You know, Nick Chubb is out, so maybe that Browns run game is just weak. They didn't have anybody in the house to carry the ball. But there's no reason at all for DTR to throw it 47 times in a game. 170 yards is pathetic, dude. For 24 completions, that's awful. Jerry Jeudy had 12 catches for 94 yards. The lone bright spot in this game, really, for the Browns.
Yeah, that was
I heard some interesting news that the Browns have restructured Deshaun Watson's contract to push money into void years in the last 2 years of his contract and the years like 2030, so they could keep pushing money back farther into the future. But that just means he's solidified to stay on the team next year. So we don't know what the Browns are even doing.
I don't think they know what they're doing.
With that, I digress. I'll move on. Sorry, Browns fans. This next game. Oh, we picked this one right, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Jags 20, Titans 13, and just a battle of the two teams. Whichever one loses this game gets a better draft pick. They're both stinky and they got to play. Mac Jones, 15 to 22, 174 and 2 touchdowns, proving that he's better than Trevor Lawrence. And I'll say it again. You could put I'm just kidding. DTR out there. Trevor Lawrence was not playing, but Mac Jones stole his mojo and threw for 2 touchdowns in Duval County. It's even split between Tank Bigsby and Trevor Etienne. 14 for 49 for Etienne, 11 for 33 for Tank Bigsby. You'd like to see those numbers put together. It's not really good. No. Brian Thomas Jr., 7 for 91. Parker Washington, 3 for 31. They both scored a touchdown. So that's pretty good. Brian Thomas Jr. is just proving that he's just going to score touchdowns. That's what it is. Mason Rudolph.
Really good.
Oh, really, really good. Mason Rudolph, 19 for 31, 193, a touchdown and an interception. Did exactly what you think Mason Rudolph's going to do. An average game for an average player. Tyjae Spears, 20 for 95. Calvin Ridley, 5 for 84. And Chiga Okonkwo, 5 for 42. Just pedestrian across the board for the Titans, which is what they've been all year. Except for Calvin Ridley when Will Levis is throwing him the ball.
Yep.
Not a lot to be said in this stinky divisional game.
Didn't matter for anything. Yep.
Doesn't matter for anything except the Titans probably get like the number 2 or 3 pick now, and they'll pick like Shadur Sanders, and Deion Sanders will get mad, and there'll be a whole thing. All right, moving on to another divisional game. This is probably even worse. Bucs 48, Panthers 14. Baker Mayfield creating nightmares over there in Carolina. Just visions of a white man streaking across your vision, flipping off your fans, spitting in the air, cursing. He's got a Zen in his mouth. He's just slinging touchdowns to everybody on his team. Baker Mayfield, 27 of 32, 359, and 5 touchdowns. 5 touchdowns. This man has absolutely revitalized his career, unlike no other quarterback I seem to remember in NFL history.
Yeah, you're spot on with that one, actually. I can't think of one.
I don't know of many other quarterbacks except maybe like Rich Gannon that have ever like just been like, boom, out of nowhere. Like we're going to throw, we're going to go gangbusters on this one. Bucky Irving led the backfield, 20 for 113, 4 catches for 77 yards. Bucky Irving kind of showed me today that he will enter next year as the Buccaneers running back 1. I think Rachaad White will get phased out. I think they understand that Bucky Irving's the better player. Rachaad White is just too inconsistent. Fumbles, not good enough between the tackles. It is what it is. Rachaad White, you had a good run. Mike Evans, 8 for 97 and 2 touchdowns. And Kai, can I get a stat check on Mr. Mike Evans with 1 game to go?
Let's see.
He should be nearing somewhere around 125 yards-ish to go.
Wait, sorry. I looked it up on here.
Oh, you're good, brother. Jalen McMillan, 5 for 51 and 2 touchdowns.
He has 915 receiving yards right now.
Oh, he needs 85 receiving yards in his final game of this season to reach 1,000. Something that, which honestly, if I'm being completely transparent here, will be, if he reaches that 1,000, will be his most impressive feat this year, considering he missed 5 games, yet he's still possibly able to reach 1,000 yards. I pray to the football gods, dude, that they do this for him.
Well, I think he's going to anyways because it is the Saints.
It is the Saints, and Marshawn Lattimore ain't there.
Yep, and this is a really important game for the Bucs next week.
Yes. So, Mike Evans, hats off to you, dude. You're doing one of the most impressive things I've ever seen as a football fan, as a receiver. I love your gold tooth. I love your absolute just playmaking ability. You got the inside release, next touchdown, outside release. You're showing these guys that you don't got to be young to fill the shoes of a young man. Anyways, Jalen McMillions, yes. Jalen's going to make millions. 5 for 51 and 2 touchdowns. Perfect compliment to Mike Evans. I mean, 4 touchdowns to 2 guys ain't bad. Who's Payne Durham? We don't know. I got to Google him after this. 2 catches, 36 yards, and a touchdown. Just, honestly, the bringer of pain. That's who Payne Durham is. The Buccaneers blocked a punt for a touchdown. And it says, what happened? What was the duck?
So funny enough, the duck like landed on the field right before that play happened, and then everyone kind of just saw it as like an omen or whatever.
Oh, it's like dude, it's like the goose thing with the Padres a couple of years ago. Yeah. Oh man. Oh, Bryce Young. Poor man. The Panthers scored 14 points. He produced 14 points. 15 to 28, 203, 2 touchdowns. Man, you gotta hope and pray that the Panthers do Bryce Young right going into next season. Get this man some help, dude.
Yeah, he's looked all right in the back half of the season.
He doesn't need a lot of help. He just needs competent help. Get this man a player. You're bad enough record-wise to go out and wait. What are they? They are 4-12, so you're going to be picking near 10. Dude, get your guy a receiver. Get your guy an offensive lineman. Get your guy somebody. Because he has promise, but no one really emerged on this team this year to actually be a playmaker except for Adam Thielen. Like Xavier Legette did good. Chuba Hubbard did good, but he's out. You know? You got to get this guy more receivers because he's making Adam Thielen look good again. Adam Thielen, 5 for 110 and 2 touchdowns. Caught both of the touchdowns for this team. Raheem Blackshear, 8 for 20. Mike Boone, 2 for 11. Not having it. This game was just awful all around, unless you wanted to see the Bucs kick some ass. So that being said, the Bucs did kick ass. They go into next week with real hopes on the line. They need Atlanta to lose, and they need to win. Actually, if they win, they're in, huh?
Yeah.
If the Bucs win, they're in. They're 10-7, and the Falcons would be 9-8. Go Bucs, dude.
Yeah, Bucs have to win because if the Falcons win and the Bucs lose, Falcons have the tiebreaker.
Oh, dude, and something tells me the Panthers are going to actually upset the Falcons next week. Yep, I'm calling it now. I'm picking the Panthers next week. Don't let me pussy out, Kai.
All right.
Giants 45, Colts 33.
What happened?
Dude, by the way, what the fuck, man?
Did you watch that little segment that John Gruden does where he takes like those fans calling in just a bitch about shit? The one for both the Giants and the Colts were like equally funny.
Yeah, because like, why are the Giants winning and then why are the Colts losing?
Yeah, it was so like Drew Lock looked like fucking Tom Brady out there. It was crazy.
Hey, dude, 17 for 23. By the way, 17 completions for 309 yards and 4 touchdowns. To add a rushing touchdown to that, Drew Lock did look like John Elway out there. What the fuck, man? Tyrone Tracy, 20 for 59. Malik Neighbors, 7 catches, 171 yards and 2 touchdowns. Once again, on championship weekend, fucked it up for a lot of people. A lot of people were like, oh, Malik Neighbors with Drew Lock throwing to him. Like, they're probably not going to be playing for much, right? No. They're playing to lose the number 1 pick. That's all they did, dude.
That they are.
Wan'Dale Robinson, 5 for 71 and a touchdown. Darius Slayton, 1 catch, 32 yards and a touchdown. Everybody's out there catching 30-yard touchdowns against the Colts defense, dude. Everybody. Joe Flacco came out. Kind of played exactly how he had played earlier in the year. Just not as good as he did with the Browns last year. 26-38, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, dude.
Very much a live wire arm like Jameis Winston from what I saw in that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jonathan Taylor needed 32 carries to get 125 yards. What are you at the end of your career, dude? Like, that is like Matt Forte when he had no good ankles numbers right there, dude. I remember back in the day, Matt Forte went to the Jets for 1 year. He had 1 game with 100 yards and he rushed 33 times. I was like, Matt Forte is done. He's toast. Jonathan Taylor, dude, you should go to the front office and demand a trade. The Colts are wasting your career, brother. You could be a 2,000-yard rusher. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Get out of Indy. Alec Pierce, 6 for 122 and a touchdown. Michael Pittman, 9 for 109 and a touchdown. So exactly what you expect. Mm-hmm. These deep passes down the field for Flacco. Like, that's I'm surprised Josh Downs isn't on this list, but hey, Josh Downs didn't do much, dude. I like Alec Pierce, Kai.
I've
too. Always liked Alec Pierce. Yeah. He's a stud, dude. He reminds me of Anthony Gonzalez back in the day. Like just that dude. What
a name.
Dude, that dude. You know what I mean? You don't know why he's good, but he just is.
Yeah.
Kind of like a Payday, the candy bar. You don't know why it's good, but it just is. What do they put in that peanut butter, dude? I don't know.
It's true.
All being said, Giants probably lost their shot at the number 1 pick, which I don't think is necessarily bad for them anyways, because I think as many quarterbacks come into the draft, I don't think there's a clear-cut number 1. So, still clean house, dude. Dayball needs to go. Next game. Ooh, the Raiders. They as well are fucking up their chances of getting a great draft pick. Although they have 5 wins now. No, 4 wins now. 4-12. Yeah. So they'll be picking in the tens.
This is what Brian was afraid of.
Oh, this is what Brian was afraid of, huh?
Yeah.
This is what everyone's afraid of, having just a garbage bullshit team. No offense, Brian. It's just a shitty team that's 0-5, hasn't even scored 300 points. 0-5 in the division, 3-8 in the conference, 4-12 overall. Hasn't even scored 300 points this year. Just only beats they beat the Ravens earlier this year, dude. You know what I mean? Like, anyways, 25-10 Raiders, they beat the Saints. AOC 20 for 35, 242 and 2 touchdowns. I'll actually put this on AOC. I think he wants to win. I think it's his fault. They should have pulled him.
I mean, if you think about it, yeah, him playing good stops him from drafting a quarterback that replaces him. So, yeah.
Yeah. Amir Abdullah as lead back, 20 for 115 and 3 catches for 32 yards. Just a pretty good game for a guy that you don't necessarily expect to pull off 115 yards like that. Alexander Madison, it seems like the Raiders really stuck to the run game here. We're looking at 30 carries between these two guys. They stuck to the run, they ground out the Saints, and they beat them. Brock Bowers breaks the record, though. 7 catches, 77 yards. Does he not have the most catches for a Raider general now?
Most likely, yeah.
So going into next week, he has a chance to break the Raiders' franchise record for receptions. Not just rookie record, not just tight end rookie record or tight ends, everyone. And Jerry Rice, it's Jerry Rice's record, I believe.
Let me look that up really. We're talking about catches, right?
Yeah, just overall catches in a season. He's getting close to breaking that in general. And Jacoby Myers, 5 for 61 and a touchdown. I remember you said that you almost had him on your savers list. What's up?
Brock Bowers broke that record already.
Was it Jerry Rice's?
No, it was actually Darren Waller.
Oh, okay. What am I thinking Jerry Rice for?
I mean, he did play for the Raiders. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so 2 tight ends. 2 tight ends hold 1 and 2 for most catches in Raiders history. Crazy. Jacoby Myers, 5 for 61 and a touchdown. He was almost on your savers list, so good call on that. Trey Tucker scored the other touchdown, 2 catches, 24 yards. But we can't talk about, like, I can't say this enough, dude. The Saints are bad.
Oh, yeah.
The Saints are bad. Spencer Rattler looked rattled. Spencer Rattler also looks like Patrick Mahomes when he has his helmet on, which I
a little bit, yeah.
It's very weird. I don't like it because he plays like the anti-Mahomes. The ground game was non-existent without Alvin Kamara there. Juwan Johnson had 6 catches for 66 yards and led the team. Foster Moreau, 3 for 47 and a touchdown. I'd like to see Foster Moreau have success, considering his storyline the last couple of years. It's good to see him come in and make a difference for the Saints, whether or not that means anything. But you know what? That being said, I hope it all works out for the Raiders. I hope that they still get the quarterback they want. I hope they fire Antonio Pierce, and I hope they do right by that organization because they have good fans. They have a new city that they're trying to be in, and I really wish them like more success than this bullshit because it's really fallen apart on them the last couple of years.
I mean, and there are pieces on that team where you could work with. So
yeah, definitely, dude, definitely, especially on defense. That being said, I think, and this will just be me, I think they're gonna have to part ways and trade Max Crosby to actually shore up the depth on their offense. I think that's definitely going to happen. But that's just me. You see that kind of stuff happen all the time, and you don't want it to, but
it's just business.
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Next game.
Well, these last two games are stompings.
Yeah, dude. Bills 40, Jets 14. Man, this game did not end up the way I thought it would. I thought that this would be a game where maybe the Bills wouldn't score as much. But
we both thought the game was going to be uglier for sure.
Yeah. Josh Allen, 16 of 27, 182 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. Mitchell Trubisky, 1 for 1, 69 yards and a touchdown. Just Mitchell Trubisky coming in throwing bombs. Just bombs. James Cook, 15 for 53, 1 touchdown. Tyrell Shavers, a.k.a. a cut Game of Thrones character, had 1 catch for 69 yards and a touchdown from Mitchell Trubisky. Amari Cooper got in on it, 3 for 56 and a touchdown. Keon Coleman got in on it, 3 for 27 and a touchdown. This game was close for a little bit, but they just blew it wide open, dude. The Jets are garbage. The Jets are a dumpster fire.
Oh, yeah.
Did Aaron Rodgers pull himself from this game?
I think they just benched him because it was just like there's nothing to play for at this point.
He's become just a shell of himself. I'll never watch his Netflix documentary. You'll never get me to. I'm never going to do it. I'll even cancel Netflix if it's on Netflix. Is it on Netflix?
It is on Netflix.
Yeah, I'll cancel my Netflix before I ever watch that. I saw the trailer for it as I was passing through, and he was talking about the life of a butterfly, and I immediately wanted to take the top of my head off. 12 for 18, 112, 2 interceptions. Not good when Tyrod Taylor comes in and scores both touchdowns for your team. Passing touchdowns, 11 for 14, 83 yards, 2 touchdowns. Tyrod Taylor's a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers. Said it here. Breece Hall, 10 for 45. It's going to be hard to draft him next year. He was my second round. Oh, he's my first round pick this year.
Yeah, he might be another Saquon dying on another bad team.
Dude, and you know what? Breece Hall is going to be one of those guys that has a lackluster year this year that kind of trickles into next year. That uncertainty with the Jets is going to push him into the second round, and you could get a good value for him next year. But just the first round price tag on him this year doomed a lot of teams picking in the late first, me being one of them. That seems to happen. And that was kind of my whole idea with going double RB in the first and second rounds. You're going to hit on one of them. But Breece Hall did much worse than I ever projected his floor to be. So, man, that being said, let's move on to next year. Garrett Wilson, 7 for 66. Tyler Conklin, 8 for 57 and a touchdown. By the way, Garrett Wilson, 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons to start his career.
With not even the best situation either. It's
not
crazy.
Even the best situation either. So he's technically doing the Mike Evans thing.
Yeah.
Tyler Conklin, 8 for 57 and a touchdown. Devontae Adams, 5 for 47 before the injury. Just seems like a whole big fucked up mess for the Jets where just everything went wrong in this game. They also need to clean house.
Oh, yeah.
The Jets got to clean that house, baby. It's going to get dusty. Nobody can breathe in here.
Well, they're still letting a teenager make decisions, too.
Oh, man. How about that? And let me tell you, this last game, Kai, I'll hand it over to you after I make this announcement. The Eagles beat the Cowboys 41-7 with their backup and third string quarterbacks in this game. With their third string quarterback throwing more touchdowns than their backup. Go ahead, Kai.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was pretty crazy. I mean, I thought Kenny Pickett was already playing a pretty decent game even before the injury, and then he got injured. I believe he got injured on the tush push, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, so it clearly doesn't work with Pickett. I was like, great. And then I saw Tanner McKee come in. I've already been kind of familiar with him, too. I watched a lot of him in preseason last year. Thought he looked pretty all right. He came in, did just enough to win. I know he wasn't really asked to do a lot either, but, by that time, the game was already pretty salted away.
Yeah.
Saquon having his usual game, Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown catching touchdowns. Man, you can't ask for much more, and our defense just completely shut down the Cowboys.
Yeah.
This is exactly what I want to see going into the playoffs.
Let me tell you what, too. That throw by Kenny Pickett to Devontae Smith in the back of the end zone and left corner was probably the best throw I've ever seen Kenny Pickett make as a pro. That was a dot. That was an absolute dot by Kenny Pickett. And that's all you really want to see from him.
Yeah.
Is just the ability to make those throws. He never did make any kind of those throws in Pittsburgh, but you know what? The weapons are better in Philly. He's a great, great backup. I think that Kenny Pickett has a chance to be, if he stays in the right position, a starter one day. But right now, he's still a backup. He should stay in an organization like this, back up Jalen Hurts for a year or two more, and then go and try to get his bag, go and try to play somewhere else. But for right now, he's not good enough to be a starter. But that was a flash I wanted to see.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it wasn't the most threatening team to do it against either, but it's still good to see.
No, it's definitely not the most threatening or with the highest stakes or anything like that, but you still want to see it. Saquon Barkley went 31 for 167. This was a get Saquon his yards game, and this game was an indicator to me that they're going to try to get him that yardage total record next week, because 31 carries in a game this is salted away so quickly. Because also, the Eagles were scoring. I could have turned, look, they could score and I could be looking at my TV like this. They could score and I could go, why? What? They're scoring again. Yeah. That's how fast they were scoring it sometimes. So it's just like, this game was salted away. They gave Saquon 30-plus carries at the end of the year, knowing they have a playoff game locked up. I think they're going to try to get him the record next week in the first half. If he gets close, they'll give him the chance.
I was thinking that too. I was thinking they might keep him out there for a half at most, but I still think it's kind of risky. I mean, from how Saquon was describing it too in his little interview, he said he's fine with whatever the Eagles decide. He's like, if they want to sit me out, give me more rests than normal, I'm okay with that. He's not that concerned about getting the record.
Well, I'll tell you what, Saquon, I am.
Trust me, I would love to see it too.
I want to tell people I saw it happen.
Yeah.
I saw LaDainian Tomlinson with the touchdown record. Okay. I saw Mahomes break the pass. I saw Manning and then Brady and then Mahomes break the passing touchdown record. I want to see Saquon break the rushing yardage record. I do.
Yeah. I mean, it matters what they do next week. I mean, whatever they decide to do, I just hope it works out. And because there's so much risk just trying to do that.
There is so much risk. And the one thing you can hope is just Saquon has like a 75-yard touchdown first play.
Yeah. Which he can.
Which he can. Devontae Smith, 6 for 120 and 2 touchdowns. Like I said, both of those touchdowns were amazing. Almost had a third, which was with the tush push that I believe Kenny Pickett might have gotten hurt on. Also, one of the best calls I've seen this year by the refs at all was the knee down by Kenny Pickett on the tush push. Was whenever he took the tush push and he got pushed down and his knee hit the ground. That was one of the best calls I've seen, because not a lot of people saw that, but his knee went down. Officiating usually isn't like the best part of the game, but I liked that call. Yeah. I liked those eyes. A.J. Brown, 3 for 36 and a touchdown. Cooper Rush, 15 for 28, 147, touchdown, 2 picks. Nothing special. Rico Dowdle, 23 for 104. Should have been their bell call all year, dude.
Oh,
like you were saying.
Way too late.
Brandon Cooks, 4 for 52. Jalen Tolbert, the lone touchdown. Another Jalen, 3 for 30. Cowboys really didn't put up much of a fight, but the Eagles did. So
yeah. Pretty not much else to say about that.
No. Not much else to say. There's a lot of stinky football this week, but there's also a lot of good games. But with that being said, that actually wraps up our round of review here.
Cool.
So if you want to do a little fan interaction, just let us know. You can DM us on pretty much any social media platform, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, or X. I'm sorry. Okay. On X, Brian is Montana Sauce. Kai is RTP Kai, and I am such a wise fool. All those are on X. We also have our TikTok page, our Instagram page. We get a lot of fan interaction through those.
We will respond.
We will respond. We love what you have to say, even if it's a little argument, even if you got to call us dummies. We like that too because we like to argue, especially me. So with that being said, we'll see you next week. That'll be on Saturday for our Week 18 preview.
And Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year's, guys.
Be safe.
Don't drink too much.